Right now, somewhere in your body, gas is building. You will pass it. Today. Probably more than once. In fact, the average person does it up to 25 times a day and almost never notices most of them. 25 times. That is not a joke number. That is basic biology running quietly every single day of your life. You laugh about it, you blame the dog, you blush when it happens in an elevator, but you have almost never asked the one question that actually matters. What is it? Where does it come from? And why does your body insist on doing this over and over, whether you want it to or not? The answer is far stranger and far more useful than you were ever taught in school. Let's start with the obvious source, air. Every time you eat, you swallow air. Every time you talk while you eat, you swallow more. Gulp down a soda and you are swallowing bubbles of carbon dioxide directly into your stomach. Chew gum and you are pulling in air with every bite. None of this air is announced. You do not feel it entering. It just goes down silently with everything else. And that air has to go somewhere. Some of it comes back up as a burp, but a portion of it keeps traveling further down into territory most people never think about. That is source number one, swallowed air. Ordinary, boring, mostly odorless. But source number two is where the real story begins, and it has nothing to do with the air around you at all. It has to do with trillions of tiny organisms living inside you right now, doing a job you never hired them for and never even knew existed. To understand this, you have to picture your gut differently than you ever have before. Not a tube, not as plumbing. Think of your large intestine as a factory. A basement factory running 24 hours a day with no lights, no windows, and no days off. The workers in this factory are bacteria, not the dangerous kind you scrub off your hands, the helpful kind. Trillions of them packed into your gut, forming what scientists call your microbiome. Researchers like Dr. Rob Knight, who have spent years mapping the human microbiome, have shown that this internal ecosystem contains roughly as many microbial cells as the human body has cells of its own. You are not one organism. You are a walking colony, and that colony has an appetite. Here's what happens on the factory floor. Your small intestine absorbs most nutrients from your food, sugars, fats, easy proteins. It takes what it can use. But some things resist digestion. Fiber from beans, certain sugars in broccoli, cabbage, onions, complex carbohydrates your own enzymes simply cannot break down. That leftover material does not get wasted. It gets passed down into the large intestine, straight into the factory. And the bacteria down there are waiting for exactly this. They swarm the leftover food and begin fermenting it. The same basic chemical process that turns grape juice into wine or milk into cheese. Fermentation inside you right now, not metaphorically, actually happening in the dark in your gut as you sit here listening to this. And like any fermentation process, this one produces gas as a byproduct. Hydrogen, carbon dioxide, methane in some people. These gases build up pressure in the factory. Pressure needs release, so the gas travels onward toward the only exit the factory has. That release is the fart. Not a malfunction, not embarrassment, a finished product rolling off the factory line right on schedule. Which brings up the two questions everyone actually wants answered. Why does it smell, and why does it make that sound? Start with the smell, because this is where diet becomes the star of the story. Most of the gas your body produces, hydrogen, carbon dioxide, is almost completely odorless. The infamous smell comes from a much smaller ingredient, sulfur. Foods like eggs, red meat, broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage are rich in sulfur compounds. When gut bacteria ferment these foods, they release hydrogen sulfide gas, the same compound responsible for the smell of rotten eggs. Studies on gut gas composition, including work published in the journal Gut by researcher Michael Levitt, one of the pioneers of intestinal gas research, found that hydrogen sulfide, even in tiny concentrations, is powerful enough to dominate the smell of an entire release. You don't need much of it. A whiff, chemically speaking, is more than enough to clear a room. So the smell is not random. It's a direct readout of what you ate in the last day or two, translated into gas by your own internal bacteria. Now the sound. This part surprises almost everyone because it feels like it should be complicated. It's not. The noise is simple physics, air pressure pushing through a narrow, flexible opening. Picture the muscles at the exit of your digestive tract, the anal sphincter, as a kind of built-in instrument. When gas pushes against it under enough pressure, the muscle tissue vibrates. That vibration is the sound, the same basic principle as a trumpet player's lips buzzing against a mouthpiece or a balloon squealing as air escapes through its stretched neck. More pressure, tighter opening, faster air movement means a higher pitch, a louder sound. Less pressure, more relaxed muscle means it slips out quiet and unnoticed. Volume and pitch have almost nothing to do with how much gas is actually released. A silent one can carry more volume than a loud one. The sound is about pressure and muscle tension, not quantity. Which means that the loud, dramatic one you laughed about in a meeting years ago may have actually been less gas than the silent one nobody noticed at all. Somehow that feels like justice. Here's the part that almost nobody tells you. This entire process, air, fermentation, smell, sound, all of it is a sign that your gut is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Gastroenterologists generally agree that a healthy adult passing gas somewhere between 10 and 20 times a day, sometimes more depending on diet, is completely normal. Not excessive, not a problem, expected. A more fiber-rich diet, the kind nutritionists actually recommend, tends to produce more gas, not less, because there's simply more material for your bacteria to ferment. In other words, if your diet is genuinely healthy, loaded with vegetables, beans, whole grains, your gut bacteria are working overtime, and that extra gas is the evidence. The absence of gas, oddly enough, can sometimes be more concerning to doctors than its presence. A gut that produces almost nothing may be a gut that's not fermenting fiber properly at all. So the next time it happens in an elevator, or in a quiet meeting, or under a blanket at 2 in the morning, you're not malfunctioning. You are hosting a factory. Trillions of workers fermenting what your own body couldn't break down, converting waste into gas and releasing it exactly the way biology designed it. So here's the real twist in all of this. That thing you spent your whole life trying to hide, holding in, laughing off, blaming on someone else. It was never something to hide at all. It was your body's quiet, constant proof that you're alive, digesting, and thriving 25 times a day, whether you notice it or not.